Obsessive love, they say, is usually uncomfortable for the person experiencing it. It is often accompanied by emotional outbursts, including feelings of anxiety and depression. It may also create issues with anger and a lack of self-control. This was all it took for the event of June 9, 2008 to happen. Obsessive love, a call shatters the quiet of a summer night in Mesa, Arizona. On the other end of the line, a voice trembles with panic. There's blood everywhere. He's in the shower. He's dead. The words hang in the air, thick with horror. Police arrive to a house filled with the unmistakable scent of death. The walls, the floor, the bathroom, streaked in red. A young man, once full of life, lies lifeless in a confined space meant for cleansing, his body beyond comprehension. This was no ordinary crime. The attack was savage. 27 stab wounds carved deep into his flesh. His throat slit with such force. A single gunshot to the face, as if the killer wanted to be certain there was no coming back. And then, an unexpected discovery, a camera, tossed into the washing machine, its memory card still intact. Investigators press play. What they find leaves them speechless. Travis Alexander, a 30-year-old motivational speaker, was supposed to be in Cancun that morning, celebrating with friends. Instead, he lay crumpled in the corner of his own shower, his body unrecognizable from the brutality inflicted upon him. Who was behind this? Who held the knife? Who pulled the trigger? The answer would unravel a tale of obsession, betrayal, and a desperate attempt to escape justice. A woman who claimed innocence, yet left behind a trail of undeniable evidence. Her name was Jodi Arias. A woman who claimed to love him, who insisted she would never hurt him. A woman who, in the hours after his death, left voicemails on his phone as if he were still alive. A woman who sat through his memorial service, weeping alongside his friends, while the evidence against her piled up. At first, she denied everything. Then, she changed her story. And when the truth became unavoidable, she gave one final explanation: self-defense. But how do you explain 27 stab wounds? A slit throat? A gunshot to the head? The truth behind Travis Alexander's murder would unfold in one of the most infamous trials in American history. It was a case that gripped the nation, exposing a story of obsession, manipulation, and one woman's desperate attempt to rewrite the past. This is the case of Jodi Arias, the woman who killed the man she claimed to love. Mesa, Arizona, June 9, 2008. It was supposed to be a day of celebration. Travis Alexander was expected to join his friends on a prepaid work trip to Cancun, Mexico. He never arrived. Days had passed without a word from him. Calls went unanswered. His voicemail remained full. His friends grew uneasy, but they pushed away their worst fears, until one of them made the decision to check on him. Inside Travis's home, everything seemed normal at first. His car was in the driveway. His dog, Napoleon, was still inside. But as they stepped into the house, the stench hit them immediately, a sickly, overwhelming odor that made their stomachs turn. A group of close friends, including his roommate, made their way upstairs. They found his master bedroom in disarray. Sheets missing, clothing scattered, red stains on the carpet. Then, the bathroom door. One of them pushed it open. And they saw him. Travis Alexander's lifeless body, crumpled in the shower, covered in deep, gaping wounds. His throat was slit. 27 stab wounds. And a bullet hole. It wasn't just a murder. It was an execution. His friends, in shock, called 911. As detectives arrived, they began piecing together the final days of Travis Alexander's life. And one name kept coming up. Jodi Arias. She wasn't supposed to be in Mesa that week. She lived in California, 1,000 miles away. Yet, as investigators would soon discover, Jodi had been there. And she had been the last person to see Travis alive. To understand what happened, we have to go back. Back to where it all began. Jodi Arias was Travis's ex-girlfriend, and everyone knew their relationship had been toxic, obsessive, and filled with red flags. Even though they had broken up a year earlier, Jodi hadn't really let go. She still called him. Still emailed him. Still showed up, unannounced. Travis had confided in friends that Jodi was becoming a problem. He had caught her hacking into his social media accounts, reading his emails, slashing his tires, even sneaking into his house through the doggy door. He had told them he was done with her. He was ready to move on. And, in the weeks before his death, he had started seeing another woman. A beautiful, devout Mormon named Mimi Hall. Had Jodi found out? Was she jealous? Detectives needed answers. There was something else. Something deeply unsettling. In the days after Travis was killed, Jodi Arias acted like nothing had happened. She called his phone. Left voicemails pretending he was still alive. The voicemail was left after he was already dead. She also posted a tribute to him online, sharing memories and mourning his loss, as if she had no idea what had happened. But when police contacted her, she had a strange reaction. She seemed too calm. Too rehearsed. Too eager to help. "I loved Travis," she told them. She even offered to help catch his killer. But investigators weren't buying it. Because when they checked Travis's camera, the one they found in the washing machine, they discovered the truth. Jodi had been in Travis's house on the day he was murdered. And the last image on that camera? A blurred, accidental photo. A figure on the floor. Blood. And a person's foot standing right over him. The case had just taken a chilling turn. Detectives had already heard enough disturbing stories about Jodi Arias. The possessiveness. The stalking. The break-ins. The slashed tires. The digital camera. Soaked, damaged, seemingly destroyed. Someone had tried to erase its contents. But forensic specialists knew better. They worked tirelessly to recover the images. And when they finally unlocked the files, the truth was staring them right in the face. The camera's chilling timeline, the recovered photos told a terrifying story. The first set of images, taken on June 4, 2008, showed Travis and Jodi together. They weren't fighting. They weren't struggling. They were intimate. Jodi had taken explicit photos of herself and Travis that afternoon. A twisted illusion of normalcy. Then, the timestamps moved forward. Just minutes later, everything changed. One image captured Travis in the shower, standing under the running water, unaware that these would be the last photos ever taken of him alive. The next image, blurred, shaky, was different. It showed Travis's bleeding body on the bathroom floor. And in the corner of the frame, a foot. A figure standing over him. Jodi Arias had been there. She had documented it. And she had tried to erase it. But she hadn't erased enough. Now, Jodi Arias wasn't just a person of interest. She was the prime suspect in a brutal murder. Detectives called her in for questioning. If she was innocent, she would have reacted with shock, grief, devastation. Instead, she smiled. She laughed. She flirted with the officers. She even asked to fix her makeup before her mugshot. And when detectives pressed her, she lied. Over and over again. At first, she swore she wasn't there. She told police she hadn't seen Travis in months. That she had been on a road trip to Utah. But detectives had the camera. They had the timestamps. They had the proof. So Jodi changed her story. She admitted she had been at Travis's house that day, but claimed she had nothing to do with his murder. When police confronted her with the photos, she changed her story again. Now, she said 2 intruders had broken in, wearing ski masks, attacking Travis while she miraculously escaped. But the evidence didn't support that. There were no signs of a break-in. No evidence of anyone else being in the house. And then, the final nail in the coffin, her own words. While sitting alone in the interrogation room, Jodi did something bizarre. She began singing to herself. She even did a handstand against the wall. It was as if she had no grasp on the gravity of the situation. But reality was about to come crashing down. Because the moment she was arrested, the world would soon know Jodi Arias's name. The case against Jodi Arias was no longer a question of if she did it, but rather, why. Travis Alexander's murder was brutal, excessive, and deeply personal. This wasn't self-defense. This was rage. And the prosecution was about to prove it. By the time Jodi Arias's trial began in January 2013, the case had become a media sensation. Millions watched as the courtroom became a battleground. Prosecutor Juan Martinez painted Jodi as a jealous, manipulative woman who couldn't handle rejection. He described how Travis had been trying to escape her grasp, how he had told friends he was done with her. But Jodi wouldn't let go. And on June 4, 2008, she drove over 1,000 miles from Yreka, California, to Mesa, Arizona, with one purpose. She brought a gun. She had a knife. And when the time was right, she struck. Jodi's defense team, however, had a different story. They claimed she had been physically and emotionally abused by Travis. They argued that the killing was an act of self-defense. Jodi herself took the stand for 18 days, telling jurors that Travis had been violent and controlling. But her story didn't match the evidence. There were no police reports. No hospital records. No friends or family members who ever witnessed Travis abusing her. Instead, what was proven in court was Jodi's obsession with him. Her constant presence in his life, even after their breakup. Her own words, caught on tape, where she had once told Travis, "I'd rather see you dead than with another woman." And then, there was the autopsy report. The sheer violence of Travis's wounds made one thing clear: this was not self-defense. On May 8, 2013, after months of testimony and nearly 15 hours of deliberation, the jury reached a decision. Jodi Arias was found guilty of first-degree murder. The courtroom erupted, some in relief, others in silent disbelief. Travis's family wept, knowing justice had finally been served. But the sentencing wasn't over yet. The jury had to decide whether Jodi would receive the death penalty. Would she die for what she had done? Jodi's defense fought to spare her life. Her legal team argued that she had no prior criminal history. That despite her actions, she could still contribute to society from behind bars. And in April 2015, after years of legal battles, Jodi Arias was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She would spend the rest of her life inside Perryville Prison in Arizona. More than a decade has passed since the trial, yet Jodi Arias continues to make headlines. Even from prison, she remains a controversial figure. She has given multiple interviews, painting herself as a victim. She has filed appeals, attempting to overturn her conviction. She has even continued relationships, receiving love letters and marriage proposals from admirers. But for the Alexander family, there is no moving on. They have lost a son, a brother, a friend, all because of one woman's obsession. The murder of Travis Alexander wasn't a random act of violence. It was premeditated. Brutal. Cold-blooded. Jodi Arias may have believed she could erase the evidence, erase the truth. But the camera didn't lie. And neither did the 27 stab wounds, the gunshot, the blood-soaked walls. A bright young man was taken too soon. And all because one woman refused to let him go. What do you think? Was justice served? Do you believe Jodi Arias deserves to spend her life behind bars, or should she have faced the death penalty? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more true crime deep dives. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, every crime has a final truth.